You know, I've always tried to tell you guys how much I appreciate y'all, and you know how much we appreciate your support, and you know, things like that. Because I never wanted to sound ungrateful about it, because I'm not. I am extremely grateful to you guys. Believe me, I am. You know, but as far as donations lately, we've kind of hit rock bottom, I guess you could say. You know, over the past 3 months, we've taken in a grand total of about $175 in donations to the sanctuary. You know, and that's $175 for all 3 months. Well, you know, to be honest with you, $173 will feed these guys for about a week. I've always been grateful to you guys, and, you know, always will be. But I'd like to think we could do a little better. So, you know, if you guys wouldn't mind, we sure could use the help. And I know everybody's got it kind of bad right now with the economy and gas and things like that. So anything that you guys can afford, I would appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, somebody was asking me about their horns. You know, a lot of people wanted to know what the difference was between my friend Allie's Highlands, Wallace and Monroe, who you saw in some of my Scotland videos recently. I love Wallace. He's such a good boy. You know, typically in Highland cattle, horns on a bull tend to curve out and in front of their face, kind of like Wallace and Monroe. And the horns on a cow or a heifer tend to curve upward from the head. And there's the theory that the sooner they're castrated, the quicker the horns start to turn up. But Hamish was castrated at 10 months, which is why his horns kind of start to go in front of his face, you know, like normal, and then curve up. Whereas Kyloe was castrated pretty much at birth, which is why his horns tend to go straight up from his head. Now, Wallace and Monroe were both castrated very early as well, within days of being born. But their horns are still growing like a bull's. You know, what I told you guys is typical for Highlands, but genetics plays a huge part of it. And that's why Wallace and Monroe's horns still curve forward rather than up from the head. It's simply genetics. You know, I've seen some Highlands with wonky horns, you know, one's up, one's down, you know, things like that. And really it only matters if you're showing them. But these guys aren't show cows. So. Now, as far as the horns in general, a lot of people think that they're solid. That's just one big bony mass there. But they're not. And they're not hollow either. The horns on a Highland, and they are horns, they're not antlers. Antlers get shed. Horns grow for the life of the animal. But a Highland's horns are basically bone covered by a keratin shell. Keratin is the same material as our fingernails. And basically what a horn is it's, it's a big piece of bone that comes out from the skull, kind of like our fingers. And that bone is full of blood and tissue and, things like that. And it's covered by a keratin shell, which is the horn that you see. Somebody asked me if they know where their tips are. Yeah, they do. They know exactly where their horn tips are. It's kind of like us knowing where our fingertips are without having to look down. Shame on you if you just looked at your fingertips. So yeah, they know where they are. And, you'll see them bump me a lot of times with the side of their horns, to get my attention or say, hey, keep brushing me or something like that. But if you're being poked by the tip of a Highland horn, chances are it's intentional, and it is considered extremely rude behavior. It's also threatening. And that's one of the reasons why I tell people, don't stand in front of Hamish and grab his horns, or try and pet his forehead or something like that. A lot of times Highlands can see that interaction with their forehead as a challenge to them. They do use them for self-defense, although it's usually like a mom defending her calf or something like that. They don't use them to attack people, even though they, like I said, they will use them for self-defense. But no, they usually, Highland cattle don't go after people frequently, with the intent on stabbing them with their horns or goring them, something like that. And honestly, with any animal, with any cow, there's very little chance of you being gored by a cow. If anything's going to happen, he's probably just going to run you down and crush you. And that's usually done by dairy cows, honestly. And I'm not sure why. I don't know a whole lot about dairy cows. But I've heard that most dairy cow bulls are insane. So I don't know. Maybe some of you guys that own dairy cows can let me know in the comments whether or not the bulls are actually insane, or if it's just a misconception. But what they use those horns for is digging up under the snow to get the the grass and hay that they want to eat. They use them for ripping down small trees, digging up under the brush, to get to the stuff they really want to eat, things like that. Another benefit of those horns is the fact that they are full of tissue and blood. Because in the summertime, when the Highland gets really hot, all that blood is coursing through those horns, and they act like giant radiators, and it helps keep the highland cool. A lot of people are thinking to themselves, don't stand behind him, you idiot, he might kick you. Well, that's true, he might. Unfortunately with cattle, they can kick in any direction, not just backwards. They can kick forward, sideways, you know, whatever. If you're in reach, he can kick you. All right, buddy. I'm gonna go up and see what that dog's squalling about. Ugh. All right, handsome. There you go. You're done for today. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to find out more about Hamish and Kyloe or SafeHaven Sanctuary, y'all please be sure and hit the subscribe button or follow us on Facebook. Appreciate y'all.